What if I told you? I went from struggling to say a sentence in English to confidently speaking, thinking, and even dreaming in English in just 30 days. No boring textbooks, no expensive classes, just a crazy challenge, a lot of mistakes, and a whole lot of determination. This is not just a story about learning English. This is a story about how I changed my mindset, stepped out of my comfort zone, and completely transformed my life in 1 month. If you've ever felt stuck, shy, or scared to speak English, this story is for you. Here's how I mastered English in 30 days, and how you can too. I never thought English would become my second skin. In fact, there was a time I could barely string together a sentence without fumbling like a beginner in a ballet class. Awkward, nervous, exposed. I had tried to learn English for years, on and off, always stopping when the frustration outweighed the progress. But all of that changed in one single moment. One evening that lit the fuse on what became the wildest, most transformative month of my life. Chapter 1. The spark it started, as many life-changing stories do, with a failure. I had just returned from a job interview, one of those big opportunities where you prepare answers in your head for days, iron your best shirt, and replay everything you want to say in your mind. The position required some basic English. I was told it would just be a few questions. Just a conversation, the interviewer said. But when the time came, my words collapsed like a house of cards. "Tell me about yourself," she asked gently. I opened my mouth, and then nothing. I tried to say, "I am hard-working and passionate," but what came out was a mess of half-formed words and blank stares. I felt heat rush to my cheeks. The room suddenly felt smaller. I walked out crushed. On the way home, I didn't speak a word. But that evening, while doom-scrolling YouTube, I stumbled on a video titled, "What if 30 days changed your life?" It was nothing revolutionary. Just a guy who transformed his body in a month. But something about the line stuck with me. What if 1 month really could change everything? I stared at my reflection in the dark screen of my phone and whispered, 30 days, let's do this. Chapter 2. The Immersion. The next morning, I woke up a different person. Well, not really. I was still the same me, still a little groggy, still hesitant, but something had shifted. I had a mission now. I sat on the edge of my bed and made a list. Change every device language to English. No subtitles in my native language. Speak to someone in English every day. Think in English, dream in English, live in English. I began with baby steps. I labeled every object in my house with sticky notes: mirror, kettle, shoes, toothpaste. My room looked like a kindergarten classroom. I started talking to myself as I went about my day. I'm opening the window. The weather is cold. I need socks. It felt ridiculous, but it worked. I picked a notebook, my English diary. Every day I filled a page, even if all I could write was, "Today I am tired." I studied English. It wasn't much, but it was mine. In the evenings, I watched English films with subtitles, then without. I watched Forrest Gump 3 times. Not because I loved it, although I did, but because Tom Hanks's slow, clear narration made it easier to follow. I repeated his lines out loud, mimicking his tone. Life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get. That line became my motto for the month. Chapter 3. Speaking Up by Day. 6. I decided it was time to speak to real people. It terrified me. I downloaded a language exchange app and matched with someone from London named Jake. Our first video chat was painful. I smiled too much, nodded too much, and said yes, even when I didn't understand. Jake was patient, though, and funny. He corrected me gently and told me not to worry. "You're better than you think," he said. "Fluency isn't perfection, it's connection." That night, I cried. Not because I was sad, but because I connected. For the first time, English wasn't a chore. It was a bridge. I began chatting with people from Nigeria, India, Canada, Ireland, and the Philippines. I learned that English wasn't one single accent. It was a global river with many currents. I listened, copied, laughed at my own errors. Every night, I recorded myself speaking. How my day went, what new words I learned, how I felt. The first recordings were terrible, but with each one I heard growth. My tongue loosened, my confidence grew. Chapter 4. Words, words, words. Around day 12, I became obsessed with vocabulary. I created flashcards, carried a mini notebook with me everywhere, and jotted down new words I heard during conversations. One day I heard someone use awkward, and I thought it sounded beautiful. That night I wrote a story using it in 10 different ways. I'd write sentences like, "It was an awkward silence, not the comfortable kind," and feel like a poet. I read children's books, then graduated to articles from The Guardian and BBC. I didn't understand every word, but I got the rhythm. I listened to podcasts on the bus, shadowed TED Talks in the mirror, and even tried karaoke to improve pronunciation. By day 18, something remarkable happened. I stopped translating. In my head, I'd see a dog and think dog, not pero or chien or kutia. Just dog. It clicked. Chapter 5. Owning the mistakes, I made so many mistakes it would take a library to catalog them. I told a girl in a chat, "You look terrible," thinking it meant awesome. I said, "I'm boring" instead of "I'm bored." I even once asked someone, "Can I touch your dog?" which, taken out of context, made them raise their eyebrows. But I learned to laugh. I started collecting my funniest mistakes and made a comic strip out of them. I called it The Misadventures of Learning English. My friends loved it. They started sending me their own errors, too. We weren't just learning a language, we were building a community. Chapter 6. Becoming on Day. 25. I went live in an online English club. My topic was, what learning English taught me about myself. My heart raced as I spoke to a virtual room full of strangers. But then something amazing happened. I forgot I was speaking in a foreign language. I just talked. People clapped, virtually. Someone messaged, "Are you a native speaker?" I laughed out loud. Me? Native? Just 3 weeks ago, I couldn't even pronounce comfortable. But maybe that was the real secret. Confidence isn't the absence of fear. It's showing up anyway. Chapter 7. The New Me on Day 30. I sat on my bed, same place I had made the decision, and listened to my first voice recording again. I could barely recognize that person, not just because my grammar had improved or my vocabulary was stronger, but because my voice had changed. I had grown, not just as an English speaker, but as a human being. I had faced embarrassment, silence, self-doubt, and I kept going. That's what fluency is. Not knowing every word, not sounding perfect. Fluency is courage. It's choosing connection over comfort. And now I live in English. I dream in English. I create, connect, and even joke in English. 1 month changed everything.